Hey, folks, it is Coach Pete right here. I'm very excited to have Dr. Bradley Brunner on the show. Who is Dr. Bradley Brunner? You're going to find out, folks, and you're going to want to meet him. You're going to want to have him give you some advice like he's doing for me on personal medical success. Dr. Brad, welcome in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Wow.
I'm excited.
It is fat. I've been talking to Brad here for a while before the show, and folks, there's some amazing information in the medical world that we are not privy to a lot of times because we don't know where to look. Now, Dr. Bradley got to start working with athletes and special military folks, I guess, a lot to put together specialized, personalized health programs. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Dr. Brad.
Yeah, so my background, sports medicine, to kick it off. I was fortunate enough to work with a lot of very smart people that I was able to mentor off of. And these different circles, one of them was called XPT, or Extreme Performance Training. And it got me in this group of scientists and coaches that, again, were working with all these Formula One racers, UFC fighters, NFL, you name it, the different acronyms.
The high-performance athletes, right?
Yeah. And so we were taking what they were doing at the tip of the spear, and we're like, well, I can't get myself or them with everybody one-on-one to conquer this, global issues. So now we've got that outsourced into a performance platform, and it changes the game of not just saying, hey, medical problem of disease detection, how can we move the needle of performance for everybody? Yeah.
Now I've heard you use that word performance a lot, right? And you also have told me about blood tests. And so everyone has access to a blood test. As a matter of fact, if you go to a doctor a lot of times for a physical, they make you take a blood test before you go see them so they can analyze it and give you a little advice, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So why does the world need a performance platform though? Why do people need to know based on the blood what the performance is? I guess you've specialized in looking at the blood and then putting together personalized strategies. You call it a performance platform.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So if we take that medical model, you go in there, we see, do we have disease detected or not? So then you'd come to me and say, oh, my markers are all normal. But you can't tell me that the 90th percentile is the same as the 10th percentile. We know that's not true. So we're optimizing for function. That's how we're looking at this from more of my functional medicine, elite performance realm, and it makes all the difference.
And so you know what to look for on the blood test a lot more than me. When I get that test back, it just says, hey, I'm right here. That's good. And then it warns you if you're getting close to something bad. But you argue maybe there's better ways to do it than that.
For sure. That is just an awesome report card of, red or black. But we can dive a lot deeper, and we use systems theory or performance mapping, these clinical clusters that I can say for certain that this is something we need to do to move the needle because it's a part of your bottleneck for your system.
Bottleneck. Okay, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they may be doing somewhat the right thing, but they're not quite doing it on purpose. And so it's nice to know that if you're doing something good, it is working.
Yes. So that's part of this progress. So we can start to say, hey, for the effort you're putting in, which I'm not denying the effort that you're doing, I just want to make sure it's physiologically hitting, it's landing, it's sticking for your body. That's where that performance blood work gives me that spin on saying, hey, keep doing what you're doing, or we need to adjust here to help you with the same amount of effort. It's like rowing a boat with only one oar. You can have all the effort you want, you're still going in that circle, so I can help you get that other one so we can get going
You told me
forward.
the effort's not the problem, right?
No,
a lot of times.
It's the direction.
Wow. Okay. So, but the direction, if you don't know, like back in the day, they'd use the North Star up there. They would go, that's how they found direction. Yeah. You've got the health North Star, don't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So it's like the biomarkers are those stars.
Yep.
I'm helping to put the constellations together to really help navigate even better.
My dad was a physicist and an astronomist, so that meant in Wisconsin, when we went to Wisconsin, we had to go out in the middle of winter when the stars were right. We had to go out there and stand with him for hours while he pointed out constellations. So I'm familiar with that.
I love that connection with us both being from having that Wisconsin connection there.
Most blood work companies give you a report, like we're talking about, but the report really doesn't mean anything if you don't understand what the report talks about, right?
No. So that's where we can first we want to investigate. We need enough markers to really show what's going on. A lot of what I see coming back is a handful of things that are not going to give us the context. But once we have that, we can start to intervene and create the right interpretation model off of that. And that makes all the difference when we're not just going for good enough. That's not going to help soccer mom be able to have the energy for those 3 kids in the afternoon. So we can start to see, hey, what's going on? Is it inflammation? Is it hormones? Is it sleep? Whatever it may be, I have markers that we can test.
So it's not just one marker, it's a combination of them that are working together, I think is what you look at, right?
Yep, we look at them as a system, as a systemic whole, holistic. I don't want to just zero in on if it hurts in the elbow, it might not be an elbow problem. We need to see how the shoulder or the wrist are functioning. Same thing with physiology when it comes to blood work.
Well, you hear about somebody who maybe they have a pain in one ankle, and then they in the process of walking or running, they hurt the other knee because they're trying to be less on that ankle.
Yeah,
right?
The overcompensation.
Yeah, overcompensation.
And that's exactly it.
Yep.
I see that all the time with blood work. The body, it doesn't do something that it doesn't think is going to be for the benefit. But if that's going on long term, that chronic issue can be burdensome on the body.
Yeah. Well, we have traditional healthcare we hear about, but what's performance care, and how is it different than traditional healthcare we all hear about?
Yeah. So when things do come into my lap or even bounce around from specialist to specialist and nobody knows what's going on, we can start to broaden that search a little bit, investigate a little further. I think of it as, I have a little 5-year-old. So my wife and I put him down to sleep. We watch some murder mystery situation, and for some reason we can go to sleep very easy after that. It's kind of psychotic, but that's besides the point. The reason being, if I'm I'm the investigator on the case, you wouldn't want me to go into the living room, deduce everything that is going on in isolation. No, you want me to canvass the entire property, put the right person behind bars. Blood work is the same way. If we don't do that, then we're leaving a lot out on the table, and you will not feel better because we're working on compensation. Now,
a lot of people hear the fact that you've developed this system working with elite athletes, and they're saying, well, I'm not an elite athlete. This doesn't apply to me. That's false, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you have a body, you are an athlete to me.
Yeah.
The physiology doesn't matter. If you are going for an Olympic gold medal, or again, back to that soccer mom analogy, we still need to press on the same things, and we're still looking at it in the same way of how do we optimize this system, but not everything.
Right.
We need to tailor to where is that key constraint, where is that bottleneck in the system, because if we apply it to, an assembly line, let's say, I don't want to make the fast workers work faster. If your slow one is the problem of the whole deal, you'll just back it all up. So I need to help optimize efficiency there. Blood work, body works the same way.
There was a show called I Love Lucy back in the day, and her and Ethel had a job at a chocolate factory one time. You may have seen this, but they were the slowest link. And at the end, they were having to take chocolates and put them in the box. And at the end, Lucy was just putting them in her mouth because she was behind, right? She had a big old mouthful of chocolate.
Yeah.
That was a fun show back in the day. So how many biomarkers can you get when you take, you take blood, like you do at LabCorp with those kind of places? They take a couple of those test tubes of blood, vials they call them, I call them test tubes, and they analyze them. How many biomarkers could they, are there known to man, I guess we'll say that, right?
For sure. We have 2 different panels that we utilize, a standard and elite. One would be 85 biomarkers. That's without all the calculations and ratios and all that good stuff we interpret within it. And then 129 would be the elite. So that just gets the ball rolling. But it's not so much the biomarker themselves, it's the art of the interpretation. That's where we really help to hone in so that it's performance driven, not just off of medical necessity for do we have a disease or not.
So you get all, let's say you have 129 biomarkers, right? That's 129. That's a lot to look at. How do you boil that down to one overall score, and why is that important?
Yeah, because complexity makes confusion, and we can't scale a very complex system. So we need to break that down. This lets you as the user see, are we on track? Are we trending in the right direction from blood draw to blood draw within those cycles? Because blood turns over about every 120 days.
Yeah, I didn't realize that.
That's a game changer of really waiting long enough to see, are we making this sustainable for you? Are we moving the needle in the right direction? And then we can high five and keep rocking and rolling.
So 120 days. A lot of people give up on something, a diet or something like that within 5 days.
Yeah.
Honestly, right?
Yeah. So you got to trust the process a little bit, but I give enough clarity and confidence that we're backing it up from, methodology that has to do with research. It's not just some language interpretation that we're doing from AI. That's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not the whole thing. We got real brains behind the operation here.
Now, when you're looking at the platform overall, do you prioritize different things over other things, or how do you do that?
Yeah, that's a great point. So we don't want to just play whack-a-mole in these biomarkers in isolation. We're already doing that from these medical labs. But in my realm, kind of this more cluster modeling, so I can see exactly to that North Star analogy of do we have the constellations that are backing up the root cause of what you have going on in your body so we can get the results optimized faster, more efficient for you.
Let's say somebody has, they do the ultimate panel, the 129, I guess, biomarkers. Let's say 126 of them are really good, but 3 of them are bad. I mean, is there a way to get those 3 back to normal or better?
100%. Yeah. So we'll take the context of those 2, let's just say, but what pillars are they in? Is it fatty acid imbalance? Is it inflammation? Is it hormones? And how does it apply to all the systems as a whole? So we wouldn't just take that one marker out of context. We're seeing, because we're going to look at it as a reference range of the standard reference range with our performance reference range. And so that starts to create more clinical context on, is this something actually to to pedal down on, or do we're actually getting deceived by that because that's a compensation?
Yeah. So somebody does that, right? They get the ultimate panel. Yeah. You get a report. If you do that, right, you send a report out to them, or they get it from the blood place, and then you give them an analyzation of their report. Yep. And it's personalized.
Absolutely.
How are you going to prevent this from just being an AI type report that?
Yeah. So the backbone of this whole thing is those all smart people that I was working with, the scientists, the coaches that are working with the elite of the elite. They are behind these mechanisms so that when we do integrate some of that AI, that's fantastic that we're all using. Now it makes sense off of not AI going off a popularity contest. It's actually off of real research that we have the white papers on that we own.
Yeah. If someone's watching, which when I started talking to you, I want to do it right, and they want to get this done. I mean, there's no time like the present to get back on the right track or 100%. Get started or learn about what the right track is. Most people would want to do, I think, the right thing. They just don't know what the right thing is.
Yeah. And we can be more proactive and preventive. So don't wait for the reactionary lagging indicator of symptoms before we do something about it. Let's get after it now so that we can get the right trend lines and then reach those goals that you want, or maintain that body fat percentage, or get that muscle, whatever your goal is. I can help you attain that easier.
Waiting until something's wrong is sort of like waiting till your car breaks down because you didn't put oil in it, right? So you don't want to do that. You want to do it beforehand.
Yeah, and let's make sure we put the right fuel in for the Ferrari that you want to be.
So if somebody would like to get started, they can call you. Well, let's do this. Folks, if you want to text the word DOC, D-O-C, to 600-700. That's a text. You'll get Bradley will get that information, and he'll get right back in touch with you to show you how you get your own personal plan started. Again, text that word DOC, D-O-C, to the text code 600-700. Now, the fitness industry.
Yeah.
It's a big thing. People go to the gym, they're trying to get in shape, but if you haven't got a report done, maybe you might be doing the wrong thing, or it wouldn't be great to go to the gym and know you're doing the right thing every single time for your body. Your body, not somebody else's body.
Yeah, let's say you have a personal trainer that has the perfect program written out for you, the right volume, intensity, all that good stuff. We're going to test a VO2 max test maybe in the end, or to begin with, have a benchmark. If you don't have enough iron in the stores for a ferritin that I'd be checking, it doesn't matter how beautiful that program is, that's going to be your limiting constraint. So I want to help you, whatever your weakest link is, I want to make that a strength. That's the game changer that we can help a lot of hassle and friction that you might be coming up against already.
Back in college, I told you before we got on here, back in college, I just read an article. This is before the internet, folks. It's back in the 80s. But I read, and I didn't realize this is more towards women, but that how important iron was. So I got iron supplements, and then I would take them, and I didn't feel good after a while. And then I read again, as a guy, you really shouldn't have too much iron.
Yeah, and there's a lot of things, and we were talking about before, of even like fat-soluble vitamins. Like there's a bell curve. We don't want to be deficient, but we don't want to be toxic too high. So that's why we test, not guess.
How dangerous is it for people just to read articles and try to apply stuff to themselves?
Yes. I would just say a lot of even the influencer, messaging, I won't even say the stuff is necessarily wrong, but is it right for you?
Yeah.
That's the question.
I took a nutrition class in college, which was a fun one. And that's why I learned that A, D, E, and K were fat soluble, and you didn't want to take too much of that, but you need some. Absolutely. And yet I go to my doctor all the time, every year, and he says, well, the report comes back. He says, you're not getting enough vitamin D. Yeah. So let me, you can take double the vitamin D, but you would argue that's not the right solution, right? You need to have something else to counteract the D for your body to absorb it. K is one, right?
So, absolutely. I love D3, K2. I mean, just think about if I'm giving you 5,000 IU of vitamin D, and I live up in Wisconsin, it's a latitude that we probably need a little bit more. And it's not moving the needle at all.
Yeah.
We need to look elsewhere. We got to understand, why is the body thinking that's a good solution to be allocating that away? It just so happens that magnesium, and I check RBC magnesium, which is what's getting absorbed in the cells, that moves up.
What does RBC stand for?
Red blood cell. So I want to know functionally what's getting into the cell. So we always heard the old adage of you are what you eat, but you actually are what you eat and can absorb. That's the game changer.
There was a report back in the day. It was one of those multivitamins, and it wasn't by the multivitamin company, but somebody did some research, and you take that pill, like a big hard cement type pill, right?
Yeah.
And it really didn't absorb, came out the other end just like it went in. So how good is that vitamin? It made you feel good. You were taking a vitamin, but it didn't do any good.
Yeah, you might get a little placebo effect there, but I mean, those different big box, supplements, they're not the insurance policy that we thought they were. No. So it's not very bioavailable. Yeah, a lot of better companies out there that we partner
So
with.
doing the reports you do, you can almost put a customized vitamin plan together for folks. So you might be wasting money taking some of the vitamins you're taking right now.
Absolutely. So I want the ROI for you.
Yeah.
You know, if we're going to put that effort in, I want to get the result out. So we can get down to the minutia of what dosing should we have with or without food, what timing of the day. All this is going to be tailored to you so we know what you actually need to be taking. And importantly, what maybe you don't need to
Yeah, hey, save some money that
Absolutely.
way, right?
You allocate it somewhere.
Yeah. Now, we hear this word diet. People don't like that word, but diet means a lot more than starving yourself, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I don't like the word either, to be honest with you. I want to fuel the body for the performance that we're trying to do. I don't care if that's getting ready for the board meeting that we need to recover from, or again, back to my soccer mom of 3, you know, she needs the energy for that afternoon crash because the kids aren't, you know, slowing down.
That's when they're picking up.
Absolutely. So we're just trying to help make it sustainable.
Yeah. Well, all right. Now, I used to like a show called South Park. It was a cartoon. And the characters had big heads, little bodies.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in an episode of South Park these days. I see a lot of people with big heads and little bodies all of a sudden because they're taking some of these GLP-1 things, the OOO commercial. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was a cool commercial. It's sort of like the OOO O'Reilly auto parts, but it's body parts.
Nice little ring to it.
Yeah. But it sticks in. It's an earworm, they call it. It sticks in your head. How good or bad is this for people that are doing this these days?
I'm not really anti anything, but I want to go about it the right way. To be that catalyst, we need to make sure that we can maintain muscle along that ride because the weight on the scale could be deceiving because fat and muscle could be coming off, and then we are left with a metabolic dysfunctional skinny fat.
Yeah, I love that term, skinny fat. There's a restaurant in Vegas called Skinny Fats, by the way. It's for like if you want to go out to eat with a friend, but the friend's on a big diet, but they don't want to go to like the fast food type restaurant, like the Applebee's kind of place. Yeah. But you can go to Skinny Fats, and they have half the menus for people that like to eat non-healthy, and half the menus for people that like healthy. So Skinny Fats, pretty cool name, isn't it?
Everybody wins.
Yeah. So all right. So somebody does this. These GLP-1s, and they lose some weight, which is good. They get all excited. Number one, like you said, a lot of that weight could be muscle weight, which muscle weight weighs more than fat anyway. So you're all excited, you're losing weight, but it's not the kind of weight you want to lose. No. You get down to that weight, you always want it, like the doctor said, let's get you from 250 down to 190. So you get down to 190, but you keep doing the GLP-1s. You're going to keep losing weight.
Absolutely.
It's not good after a while, is it?
And then you're going to get to a point you could be sarcopenic, which means we don't have enough muscle.
Yeah.
So we've heard about the osteopenic side of things. I think that's going to be the next revolution in a bad way because of this. So it's just, in medicine, there's an equal and opposite reaction to everything. So we just need to be ahead of the curve on that.
How hard is it to build that muscle back after you lose it?
Whew, it's hard to gain muscle and it is to lose fat.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, I mean, once you lose it, it's not as easy to get it back as it was to lose it, is it?
It's tough. It's an uphill battle.
Yeah, that's kind of scary because I do see a lot of people on that GLP-1 stuff, and they're not stopping, and they keep losing weight because they're afraid if they get off it, they'll gain the weight back.
Yeah, and I sympathize with them, you know, but can we get enough strength training in, 1, and then 2, can we get enough protein or the breakdown amino acids?
I've read that that's a mistake a lot of people are making on the GLP-1s is they're not getting enough protein. So as long as you can get some good protein and work out, keep the muscle mass up.
We need the signal and the raw material on board.
Can you help folks with the report on that and show them customized ways, better ways to lose weight than this, right?
Through the interpretation, we can see if you are under-fueling or over-fueling.
Yeah.
So
we all like to overfuel.
Are we overnourished, if you will?
Let's go to buffets.
we can see that in the blood. Biomarkers don't lie. Not that anybody comes to me trying to lie, but their narrative they're telling each other or themselves, that for that matter, could be a little skewed.
I used to like to watch a show. It's about 600-pound people, and they go to see Dr. No, who's going to do that the gastro surgery.
The laparoscopy.
Yeah, and he makes them lose weight on their own before he'll let them do the surgery because he knows if they don't develop better eating habits, it's going to force food in. And it's always fun when he puts them on that very specialized diet, and he sees them in 3 months later, and they've gained weight. Yeah. And they say, I've been dieting. He said, no, you haven't. You've been. He's honest with him. He said, you've been eating too much. And so that's what we do. Right? So it's more of a mental thing than it is. You don't need that food, but it's something to do. Like my father-in-law got in trouble with my mother-in-law back in the day because she would go to bed and he'd stay up and watch TV, and he would go through a whole bag of potato chips, a whole bag of Doritos, and that's a lot of weight. And she was watching that belly grow, and she wasn't happy about it. Yeah. But he was in denial because he said it's just one bag. But there's a lot of stuff in that bag you don't want to be eating.
Yeah, right? I mean it's a lot of calories for a whole lot of not a lot of nutrients coming back at you.
Yeah. Now to gym or not to gym? Somebody's watching. Is gym the ultimate? Going to the gym, is that the ultimate solution to this? It probably isn't it?
The gym is a very important lever.
Good start, right?
But nutrition, stress management, that movement practice, all those things need to be proficient across the board before I'll say just go all into one. We need to diversify that portfolio a little bit better. And that's kind of more that holistic systems approach.
So going to the gym isn't the ultimate answer, but it's a good start. But nutrition along with the gym visit, along with learning your body and knowing what your body needs more of or less of too, right?
Absolutely. So is it inflammation? Is it hormones? Is it, cognitive support? Wherever that may be, we create this traffic light system. Make it very easy. Red means stop. We got to do something about it. Yellow, caution. We need to be probably checking on this thing. Green, go. Keep rocking and rolling.
Red, green, yellow.
Yep.
Well, if you want your very own red, green, yellow system, all you have to do is text the word DOC, D-O-C, to 600-700, and Dr. Bradley Brunner will get in touch with you and go through some different strategies. I think it really makes sense we know so much about so many things in this world. We don't know anything about our body a lot of times, do we?
Yeah, and so we just don't make these protocols off of, one marker in isolation. There are going to be these performance constraints, these kind of constellations that we've talked about, that makes the protocol very tailored to you, whether it be lifestyle, nutrition, or targeted supplementation, so that what you're taking is actually going to stick and make a difference.
And working like it should, right?
Absolutely.
Because you're going to get frustrated if it doesn't after a while, right? So it's good to have those quarterly meetings and see the progress.
Yes.
And just a little progress at the beginning, but it gets more and more. It's like that little engine that could. It took a while for the engine. Like the book we read, you probably read it to your 5-year-old, right? I think I can, right? And then you start, I know I can, and then I'm doing it. And here I am, and I'm never going to stop. So that's where you get, once you get in that routine, good or bad, it sticks.
Yeah, treat the body like a business.
Yeah.
You wouldn't run your business, without the KPIs, without that quarterly meeting, the digital dashboard to kind of bring it all in. Your body deserves this same scenario so that we can see how the systems are running, or all the departments of that business.
What is KPI again?
Key performance indicators.
Key performance indicators.
Yeah, gotta have them. Gotta have them.
Now, I mentioned I was going to have you on my radio show, and I encourage listeners to write some questions.
Yeah.
And I got 4. All right, 4 good ones. More than 4, but we had to limit it to 4. Yeah. And these are good ones, by the way. Here's one. If you had access to every person's blood work over the last 20 years instead of just one snapshot from today, what patterns do you think we discover about aging, disease risk, and human performance that medicine is only beginning to understand? That is a great 5-part question right there.
No, I love that. I would say this doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's the drift.
We want it to.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just this drift over decades.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's getting us in
bad.
trouble. Yes.
Yeah.
And so you hold the keys to figuring that out. But I think we need to make the invisible visible. And that's where kind of this performance blood work can really shine through.
Well, you didn't gain that weight overnight. You're not going to lose it overnight, but you start that process. Again, it's all about starting. It's starting today, tomorrow, or never. It's up to you. But if you start today, you'll start to see progress in a couple of weeks. At least you'll feel a little better.
Yeah.
You might not see anything, but you'll feel it. And then when you start seeing those results every quarter or so, when you do a no blood test and the performance indicators, the KPIs you talk about, they start to look a little better. That gets somebody caught.
That's motivating.
Give me an example. You met with somebody that maybe they were skeptical about you, right?
Yeah.
And you convinced them give it a try.
Yeah.
What do you have to lose?
Usually it's a family member pushing them.
Okay, yeah, because they're tired of looking at a belly or something, right? They try to be nice to them and go see Bradley.
Yeah.
So, all right, so they were skeptical. They come in. Yeah. What happens next?
So we'd like to start off with that overall score. I think it's an easy place to start rather than getting the minutia of 150 different biomarkers. It's a lot to keep track. Yeah. So we simplify it down and say, hey, here's where we're at. It's a 0 to 100 scale. So let's say they get a 65. I say, if I'm the teacher in the room, this is your grade for the day.
Yeah.
But when we go 3-4 months later, we get the new grade, and now we're at an 85.
Hey, that's nice.
We'll take a B all freaking day because we're moving the needle, and they are happier they can be. But that took, the markers, because of that turnover, takes a little bit of time for me to see and interpret. But they start feeling that in days to weeks.
Have you watched someone get more and more confident and more excited about what you're talking about as they've gone forward and seen that improvement?
Yeah, it just gives the clarity and confidence to say, I'm going to stick to this thing because it's freaking working. And then we recalibrate and readjust as we go. So we test, train, track, repeat, transform. People love it.
I heard you're writing a book on this too. It's going to be amazing. It's going to, folks, if you'd like to be on the list to know when the book comes out, all you have to do is text the word DOC, D-O-C, to the text code 600-700. Now, here's another question somebody wrote in. When you analyze a client's blood work, what story are you reading that most people, including many healthcare providers, never see? And what are the hidden relationships between biomarkers that change how you think about someone's health? So when you see a biomarker, what do you see that changes your opinion on their health?
Yeah, I think the main thing there from a healthcare standpoint is that, we're getting flagged for normal, but they don't feel normal. Yeah. So I empathize with them, and it's like, then we just kind of sink down to that threshold, and that's no way to live. I want, that's just kind of pays off, keep you alive.
Yeah.
I want you to thrive. So from a biomarker standpoint, we can look at things of how's the past, present, and future looking for you.
Yeah.
So depending on those different markers in the different systems, I can start to see when did this start to go off the rails, and we can start to then backtrack and say, hey, during this timeline, oh yeah, that did had this life event, or somebody passed away, whatever it may be that kind of triggered this thing that they couldn't stick with the healthy habits that they needed to. Now we got that buy-in, and we can rock and roll. The
excuse I hear, and I hear it for myself sometimes too, it's okay, you're just getting older.
Ooh.
You shouldn't accept that, should you?
No.
You don't have to accept that, do you?
No, I hear the age scenario all the time as well. And I just don't buy it.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of great examples that that's not the truth. But they're doing things very systematic, and they can start to see, hey, all right, when I do this, this really moves the needle. This is where I need to stay very consistent, and we can track inputs and outputs, and it's beautiful. What's
amazing to me is that we're all different, and there are different solutions for everyone, not just a generic solution. And so that's the problem I've seen, and I'm not in the medical industry, so I can say this, is it's all generic solutions many times. But you can customize a solution which builds more confidence and build a real game plan around everyone watching.
Yeah. If I was flying the fighter jet, I want to have all my diagnostics up there to help me navigate. Otherwise, we're flying blind.
You don't want to do that.
So then we don't know. Fasting, yes or no? Magnesium, which type of, chelation to it, but all these different things, we need to see what's hitting and sticking for your body, and we have the metrics to do so. Measure what matters.
So different people their body might respond differently to that intermediate fasting you hear about, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because some people have done really well with it, but other people haven't done well at all.
Now we can justify that intervention.
Okay.
We want to have the trend lines to say, hey, this is helping or hurting situation. I don't care what diet you want to come in with. If you want to be carnivore tomorrow, let's freaking go for it. But let's see if that's going to work for your body, so then I can meet you halfway and the reciprocation goes.
So we're always told to eat breakfast to start that metabolism, but then the people that are fasting are told not to eat breakfast. So it's like, what do you, after a while, as a consumer or as a person, you basically walk up. I don't know what to do, because there's two different solutions that are coming from both sides. It's like tug of war. We see the tug of war, two fat people on each end. The line hardly ever moves. So you basically, who suffers is you, because you never do anything.
Yeah, and that's the optimizing everything. It's the other side of the equation.
Yeah,
we need to figure out where your physiological bottleneck is. Yeah. That's how you get the effort that you're already putting in. You can get back. It's like rowing that boat with one oar. We're going all that effort. You're going in a freaking circle.
Going fast.
We're going fast, but we're going in a circle. So how can we get that out of the way, and we can start pushing forward?
This is fascinating to me, because there's so many things we don't know about our own body. Right.
That's absolutely.
So you can help people figure out some of these things.
Yeah. Intuition can get you so far,
So you don't accept not feeling good, is what you're saying.
No, absolutely not. Again, if we think back of the caveman Paleolithic era, we lived to 35. That's not how this works anymore. So we can't rely on those natural ways, which I'm all for, trying to go natural, but let's use the modern conveniences to really help highlight what we're doing. We're in a comfort crisis right now, and we can help give that signature service that identifies what's going on.
So certain people, like I heard the carnivore diet, is just eat meats and all that kind of high protein
beautiful
thing.
Elimination
and certain
diet.
People's bodies do well with that, and other people's bodies don't, right?
If the gut needs it, we would see that in markers, and I'd say this would be a great thing to be able to do.
So that's a fascinating thing. So don't just go, because a lot of people go like Tarzan diets, I call it. Remember Tarzan, one vine to the next? Try this diet, try that diet, but nothing loves that. Or Spider-Man shooting his wife. But if you're just doing that and haven't learned about your own body, you're basically throwing money out for no reason.
Yeah. Do we have any deficiencies or insufficiencies that wouldn't make that sustainable?
Yeah.
Or does your body going to work well with that? Or would it be better keto? Or would it be Mediterranean? There's
so many diets you hear about. I've heard about them all.
Yeah. And there's diet books on it all. And if we listen to each one, there'd be no food left.
Yeah. But the secret is to learn about your body first, and then find out what diet your body wants and needs. Mm-hmm. Folks, it's just fascinating to me. And really, if you're watching, get a personalized plan. All you have to do to get started, learn some more information, text that word DOC, D-O-C, to the text code 600-700. Why DOC? Because that's what I call him. It's Dr. Bradley Brunner, folks. All right, a couple more questions from the radio listeners. Imagine two people have exactly the same lab result, both labeled as, quote, normal. I do my little air quotes. Even on the radio, I do that. But how can one be on a path towards metabolic disease while the other one is thriving? And what clues and the blood work reveal that difference? That's really important, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say we need more context. So we wouldn't just take that one biomarker like that fasting glucose, let's say. We would want insulin around there. We want inflammation biomarkers. We want cholesterol, triglycerides, all these things that can give me more impact points. I'll give you one example. So let's take that fasting glucose. The scale for medical is 76 to 100, but every point after 85 is a 6% increase in becoming diabetic.
Wow.
So that's a relative risk of 90% more by the time it would get flagged to do something about it.
Yeah, it's almost too late then.
Why would I not intervene sooner? So that's just kind of how we look at things, interpret from more of a performance blood work standpoint.
Now, if someone is borderline diabetic, we'll say, there's a way where you can get them going back or stabilize first, right? When medical, you always stabilize first and then get them going down, right? Is there a way to get them back down towards normal level?
Absolutely. So that's where we can really tailor it for the lifestyle, the nutrition, and the supplementation. But we would base that again off of more markers to say, is it the glucose dysregulation, or is that being based off of hormones or some other marker cluster that actually is more root causative, and that is a downstream effect? I can give that clarity and confidence.
It's fascinating, man. So what got, before I get to the next question, the last question for the listener, what got you into this?
Man, I think it's my sports background, of just, it's bigger, faster, stronger.
I heard you could jump.
Swipe boy could jump back in the day, but I've ruptured an Achilles, had hip surgery, and a few others that, doesn't make it happen.
Changes the story a little bit,
So it's just like, how can I help people unlock their weakest link and make that a strength? I think that is what I'd rather do than just keep making something faster and faster.
When you said weakest link, it was a show back in the game show back in the day. They said, you're the weakest link.
Yeah.
Bye. They kick you out. So you get rid of the weakest links.
Yep. It's
Make them stronger
as that.
All right. Final question from the radio listener. And by the way, if you're watching and you listen to me on the radio telling you that Dr. Bradley Brunner was coming on and you sent a question in, awesome questions. What's the most surprising transformation you've seen after someone understood, like we're talking about here, understood their blood work and acted on it? You can understand it, but if you don't do anything, understanding without action is nothing, is it? Right? So not just better numbers on a lab report, but real changes in their energy, performance, and quality of life, the most important thing.
Great question again. I would say instead of just this, black and white, answer of off a spreadsheet of these biomarkers, it was really how it impacted their lives and the people that they serve. So I treat a lot of people in healthcare, especially the nurses that are working these crazy shifts having to give. And they come into me again, with your bowling pin analogy of what they're looking like. And I just empathize with them, and they're giving all they got, but the effort isn't able. They don't even have the time sometimes to do what they need to do.
You get so tired, you don't want to do anything but go home and eat and go to bed again.
Yeah, so
how can I
better make the little bit of time and the little bit of bandwidth and energy that they have? How can I optimize that more? That has been one of the most rewarding, more than the athlete that I can get to go faster down the track or play whatever sport or recover better, whatever it may be. That has been transformative for that mom to be able to show up for their kids like they want to, off of whatever business endeavor that they're chasing. Very important.
Now, one question I have here before we end, and it's a pretty big one because I hear it's been in the news a lot lately. My parents, I grew up in a very small town in North Carolina. After Wisconsin, we moved to a small town in North Carolina, and then we moved to Fayetteville, right outside of Fayetteville, North Carolina, which Fort Bragg's there, Delta Force is there. Mm-hmm. And in their neighborhood, they had a fellow who had a pager, and when it went off, he had to show up to Pope Air Force Base within 30 minutes because he was a Delta, and he would never know when he's coming home. But I don't know if they were doing this back then, but I heard just lately the military is looking very strongly at making sure that their testosterone level of the soldiers is as high as it should be and not going down. How important? And we're hearing more and more about this, by the way. Number one, why is our testosterone level as a society going down so much? Mm-hmm. And how important is it to make sure that it's at the right level? And what is the right level?
Yeah. How much time do we have?
There's a lot with that. It's my show. We got as many time. It's my network.
Unpacking that a little bit. I mean, it's multimodal for sure. It's our
a big thing, though.
Lifestyles are different. Nutrition, even just the soil quality to grow these nutrients. So what I'm seeing is testosterone plays in so many different systems. I don't care if we're trying to put on muscle, lose fat, inflammate. All these different things are tied off that. Sleep quality. I mean, so many things. So with those levels being down, that's already a first rate limiting step. I can't make you sleep more to help move that needle. We need to get that up, and there's different nutrients and different, whether it be pharmaceutical or supplement wise, we can really optimize that better. So I'm glad that they're finally looking at that, because just because it's in a normal reference range doesn't mean it's optimal for what they need to be able to go do.
What do you think an optimal range is for testosterone?
Ooh, I would say 700 to 1,000.
Okay.
I think would be
Is there
a
anything
good,
that's too high?
always too high.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be the era of the 80s of Arnold and all them. That, you know, we can overdo things.
3,000?
Oh gosh, I mean, they're just I mean, you saw what that does. But again, on either
It's almost
end
they called it roid rage back in the day. It was
I mean,
like
no matter if we're
that.
putting on muscle being too high there, they don't live forever.
Yeah.
Even my ultra marathoner, they don't live for it's that sweet spot is everything in moderation, what grandma told us all.
Now, the military, what they were talking about is the pellets, the testosterone pellets, because the guys are on the battlefield. They don't have time to give themselves a shot every day or every week. The pellets will last 3 to 5 months, I guess. Do you believe in that? Does that make sense? Or
I think,
is there in a better way than that?
I think it's a good starting point. There's a circadian rhythm when it comes to testosterone expression, especially we want that peak to be in the morning. So there are some faster acting testosterone that I think they'll get more refined. So I don't think I'm ready to go down that rabbit hole yet of that medical side there. But I will say with the military, there's a lot of sleep deprivation going on. Yes. And creatine supplementation is fantastic with helping that. So if you're one, I'm not saying to not sleep, but if you're having an issue with the sleep, maybe a little creatine during the day.
I used to take that at the powder and made a drink when I was lifting weights back in college.
Yeah, great for some muscle mass.
It really maybe it felt
good. But the cognitive side is the next realm.
Realize that. Okay, so that's important because a lot of people are walking around with brain fog, aren't they?
Absolutely. That can help. That focus, it's a part of that energy transport for every cell. So if we're working at a cellular level, everything gets better.
Wow. So why should here's the question I just came up with when you were talking. Why should testosterone be higher in the morning?
In the morning, it's part of that first secretion. So it's going to go right with cortisol. Is another piece of that puzzle, which we hear is such a, oh my gosh.
Bad stuff about it now.
Yeah, it's just this negative connotation, but I need that expression to be high in the morning so we can get the right melatonin release in the evening. So it's all about ratio. It's about balance more than accentuating one thing because it's going to be an equal and opposite reaction.
When people drive to work in the morning and they have a little road rage going on, they spike their cortisol levels up, right? Is that what happens? Yeah. And so we don't want that every day, do we?
I think a little breath work in the morning could be great to reframe and know maybe they got to get somewhere, something important. You can just stay neutral. That's what I always say, shift to neutral.
When I travel a lot, so and you know, if you fly a lot, the plane's going to be delayed.
Oh,
you're going to have to get off on one plane and on another one. And I see people get all stressed out. I just sit there and chill because I'm just not worth spiking my cortisol over something you can't control. Plus, if your plane's having trouble, you want them to find out it's having trouble on the ground, not when you're up there.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
So anything you want to add?
No, I think that really is a great 10,000 foot view that we're coasting at.
This is exciting, man. We're going to follow this. You're going to come on, every couple months at least, or maybe every week. We'll put a show together. I know you're writing that book. Folks, if you want any information on how to understand your body, how to get your body back on track, how to do it in the most efficient way, and understand what you're doing instead of this the doctor telling you, all you have to do is to get in touch with Dr. Bradley Brunner is to text the word DOC. That's DOC to the text code 600-700. That's DOC to 600-700. Dr. Bradley, awesome.
Absolutely.
Great to see
Thank you for having me.
Folks, great to see you. We'll see you next time right here on the Financial Speakeasy Network. Coach Pete, Dr. Bradley Brunner.